Welcome, students. Today, we're going to explore a very interesting question. What does it truly mean for a country or a state to be developed? As we are going to see, this idea is about much more than just money.
So, here is our plan for today. First, we'll think about the relationship between money and a good life. Then, we will learn how to measure what really matters for development. We'll also look at a very surprising comparison between a few Indian states. And finally, we'll wrap up with what development truly means. Let's build our understanding together, step by step. All right, to begin, let's start with a question that I am sure all of us have thought about at some point. I want you to just take a moment and really think about this. What does a good life actually mean to you? Does having a lot of money automatically mean you will have a happy, healthy, and good life?
You see, while having a regular income is very, very important, our quality of life also depends on so many other things that are not material. Think about having good friends, feeling safe in your community, being treated with respect. These are things money cannot always buy, but they are absolutely essential for us to live well. So, if income isn't the only thing that matters, then how can we measure development? How do we measure the quality of life? Let's explore some other ways to do this. To get the true picture of development, we need to look beyond just income. So let us now learn about 3 very important tools, or what we call indicators, that help us understand the real well-being of a society. Our first indicator is the infant mortality rate, or IMR for short. Now, this tells us the number of children who unfortunately die before their first birthday for every 1,000 babies born in a year. This number is so important because it shows us the overall health of newborns and the kind of healthcare available to them and their mothers. Of course, a lower IMR is a sign of better development. The second indicator is the literacy rate. This is a bit more straightforward. It simply measures how many people in the population, aged 7 and above, are able to read and write. It gives us a very important idea about the level of education in a place. And our third indicator is the net attendance ratio. Now, this is crucial. It doesn't just tell us if people can read and write, it tells us how many children between 15 and 17 years of age are actually going to school. This shows us if they have access to education and if they are participating in it. Now let's use these new tools that we have just learned about. We are going to investigate a very, very interesting comparison between 3 Indian states. This will really help us see why these other indicators are so important. Okay, let's look at this table carefully. It shows us the per capita income, which is the average income per person for Haryana, Kerala, and Bihar. Now, if you just look at the money, which state looks the most developed? Haryana, right? It has the highest income. Bihar, you can see, has the lowest.
The numbers seem very clear, but let's pause for a moment. Let's ask ourselves a really important question. Does income, money, really tell us the whole story about development? Now, this is where the story gets really interesting. Let's look at this new table. Here, we have our other indicators. Look carefully at Kerala. Even though it has a lower income than Haryana, look at its infant mortality rate. It's only 6. Compare that to Haryana's 28. And look at education. Kerala's literacy rate and net attendance ratio are both at 94%, much, much higher than Haryana. This changes the picture completely, doesn't it?
So this brings us to a really important puzzle. How is this possible? Why does a state with more money, like Haryana, actually fall behind in such important areas like health and education? What is the reason for this? The answer to our puzzle lies in a very simple but also a very powerful idea that we are going to explore now. This sentence here really gets to the heart of it all. Money in your pocket cannot buy all the goods and services that you may need to live well. Just think about it. Can your money by itself buy you a pollution-free environment? No. Can it on its own protect you from diseases that might be spreading in your area? Not really. For these important things, the whole community needs to work together. Let's take a simple example. Imagine your locality. What do you think is better? For every single house to hire its own private security guard, that would be very expensive for each family. Or for the whole community to work together and have a collective security system for everyone. Of course, providing things together is often the cheapest and the best way.
And these services that are provided collectively for everyone are what we call public facilities. This includes things like government schools and hospitals, ration shops for food, and access to clean drinking water and sanitation. These are absolutely essential for development, and they work best when the government makes sure they are available for all citizens.
And this brings us back to our puzzle about Kerala. The reason Kerala has such a low infant mortality rate isn't because people there are individually richer. It's because the state has a good, functioning system of public health and education facilities that are available to everyone.
So, let's now slowly summarize what we have learned today about the true meaning of development.
Let's remember these 3 key steps. First, income is important, but it is not enough to measure development by itself. Second, the quality of life, which we can see through things like health and education, is just as crucial. And third, public facilities are the key to making sure that everyone has a high quality of life. These 3 points together give us a much better, more complete picture of what development really is.
Ultimately, we must always remember that development is about people. It is about their health, their education, and their overall well-being. That is the real goal we should be focused on.
And when we think in this way, when we combine income with these other important aspects of life, it prepares us for the next topic in our study of development.
This bigger, more complete concept of looking at income, health, and education all together is called human development. In our next lesson, we will explore this very important idea in much more detail. Thank you for your attention.